admitting belief. We were sun-wrecked and itching to go back from lunch into the green lake water when the lifeguards screeched their whistles over and over, and we looked up to see them waving everyone out. Calm, fatalistic, Protestant. You bear with me when I tell this story every few years. Nod, shake your head, tell me, go on. My mother demanded we come to her, and so we sat, watched the pool go lifeless, while a big woman screamed and pointed there, and again there, at ripples under the high dive until it became clear her kid was missing. 5 decades later, I fear it's true. Someone's always missing. This time, I don't describe for you each scenario I've dreamed and told too often. One may be right there around the corner, or maybe hiding, counting seconds in his room, the shades down, the lights off, the clock and phone cords pulled from their sockets. Or another may have taken off in the pitch inhalation of 2 a.m., so no one will sense her empty bed. Or she may be missing in the altogether breathless way that surges like adrenaline, the cop on duty not picking up the phone that hasn't yet rung, can't ring, because the fathers or wives or roommates can't bring themselves to dial, can't enter the phase in which to call is to admit belief. Some nights, my trouble is I can't escape the incoming silence of alarms that tell me I should believe in something other than the pulse knifing my temple. After my mother huddled us onto the blanket in the branching shadows, I kept waiting for her to say it was time to pack, head home, we have to go now. But she sat, rapt, peering at the ripples for minute after howling minute. The year before, as we ate after-school snacks, she'd hung up the phone too slowly, her face literally gnarling with grief and rage when she dragged us into the living room, then made us kneel at the coffee table, the rosary vibrating in her bloodless hands. You say, for some, prayer's a comfort, a means. Soon enough, 3 lifeguards with thick rope hoisted the body, its awful white, up the wall where they performed the useless rituals of respiration. Why did she need to watch? You take my hand, tell me my mother was a driven woman, so righteous even God would think twice before talking back to her. Tonight, she too is among the missing. I can't shake her last skeletal image when the screen in the cancer ward flatlined. Bodies float to the surface. I squeeze your hand, hold on to what it is I have. Outside, closing in, the dark, the wind, the ceaseless, invisible gatherings. So that's admitting belief. And it's based, as I said, on a true story. And this next poem is called 2 Stories. And in some ways, I guess I think that there are always 2 stories involving all of us. And there's the story of our personal life. And then there's the story of the lives of others, maybe those we don't know. And I think this poem tries to ask this question. If we believe in generosity and compassion, how do we balance the demands of our personal life with the needs of those others? 2 stories. It has an epigraph which simply says, wire service photo, Hungarian border. Once again, the migrants eat the road. In the paper, a young couple, fit and hungry. I study them like ancestors. They hug, wave at the camera, having hung from a raft, then slogged the alien miles before crossing a demarcation unknown to the earth upon which it's drawn. An invisible stripe running on like a joke that's been told and retold since the first line was drawn in the dirt. The couples swell up with their own resolve, survivors of lice-laced coffee grounds, puddled water, grasses in the center lane. In the community of marriage, they've become the power of myth. At the movies last night, I sat next to my wife, laughed at the sardonic jokes, the wise American actress, her domestic comedy asserting its complex of new ethics. I knew we'd soon walk into the night, order caramel gelatos, then go home sloshed in the plush boat of all that cream. And so, for a few mindless hours, we entered the same domain the couple would have entered in their own country had the joke of history not demanded a new version of the same moral. Once inside, our very touch is the wall beyond which we may choose not to see. So that's called Two Stories, and I'll read one more poem. This poem is called In Between, and I guess there was a time I worried that in some ways there was no mystery in the universe, that there was only matter, like only stuff, and everything else was make-believe. But as I grow older, I've come to believe that the universe hides itself, and that it's so multiple, so variant, that it borders on magic. In between. I'd always told myself the late night moonlight glow riding her skin as she slept was a matter of pure matter, simple science, the way the world builds itself. I believed her low blaze to be atomic deceit, particles arranged to dupe me back into an abiding realm where the question is written as a rhetorical answer, a shimmering borealis claiming true north. But then she'd lift from the bottom layer of a dream to pull my face toward her, squinting at some nether version of the fool she knew she'd married for love, and I'd try to sleep. One midnight, the farmhouse we rented dead center of the almond orchard shook in moonless wind, as if to dare me into the dark. And it did. I left our bed, stepping soundlessly onto the peeling porch, then upon the patch of night black grass, and stood as still as the wind would allow. I could hear in the infinite webs of almond limbs a high voice I knew was no voice, but rather a siren risen from ancient ganglia, the sound of a whistling taunt, a tinnitus betraying my belief in only the tactile. And even if it were nothing more than high-pitched worry sending me back to her side all aching night, I held out my hand, tried to gauge the untouchable hovering from her. So thanks for listening. That was In Between. And again, the Consecrations is available on Amazon. I'm sure it'll be available in other places. And there you go. Thanks, everybody. Take care.